Hello everyone and welcome to a new series for the month of October. Normally October has a lot of artists doing an art challenge, and so I thought I'd do the same. But rather than looking up all the myriad different art prompts, I decided to just go with the flow and just commit to making some kind of art every day for the next 31 days. Now, why am I doing this? Well, partially because I am going in for surgery on November 7th, so I want to have some kind of content to help me raise money for that. So if you feel so inclined, my GoFundMe link is in the description. I am not going to edit this because I'm just going along with the video. And since I'm doing this every day, I need to find the best way to do this whole thing as efficiently as possible. There will be mistakes. I mean, there's mistakes in the paintings as well. So what are you going to do? It's life. So this particular painting has been one that I sketched in the midst of a deep grief. I did it shortly after my old man cat Totoro passed away. This was back in 2022. It's 2024. You can do the math. So when I started painting cats again this year, found out that I could, I decided I would give this sketch a look again and see if I could do it justice. This sketch is based on a picture that I took of Totoro hunting a butterfly, and it is my absolute favorite picture of him. It really encapsulates his personality. So let me tell you about him. I met Totoro in 2019, mostly because I was a live-in caregiver, and my roommate was a gentleman who had dementia, and he had an old lady cat. And her name was Junebug, and she was old, like 19. And I was like, oh, well, maybe if we get another cat in the house, you know, that will help her be, I don't know, have a companion that's not a human that is lost all the time. Whether or not that was me or my roommate, who knew? So we went to the local ASPCA in New Hampshire, and there were several cats that I was thinking about, old lady cats, and then there was one that had the name Totoro. And I was like, oh, I love Studio Ghibli. I'd love to meet this big boy. And he was a big boy. I think when we got him, he was like 15 pounds. And he was inquisitive. He liked Glenn. Glenn is my roommate. Well enough. But he also would nudge up against me. And I was not a cat person. So having this cat be affectionate with me, even just a little bit, was huge. Now, there are some people who will tell you cats are always affectionate with you. Yeah, they're affectionate with people who give them space. So I fell in love and I said, nope, I have to bring him home today. Glenn said, okay. So we did. And Totoro came home. I had no intention of changing his name because it was just too cute. Totoro ended up living up to his namesake, being a very loud cat. And he would let you know whenever there was something to be said. And it was either I found a mouse, I have a toy, I want to go outside, my food bowl is empty, all that jazz. We got him a leash and had him outside for a little while with us, and found out that even though he was always raised supposedly as an indoor cat, he was definitely an outdoor cat. He loved being outside. He loved being in the sunspots. He would hang out with us on the deck when we were barbecuing. He would, prowl around the grounds. He would never go too far, just far enough where he could still hear us if I called him. He would always come back covered in ticks, and we'd have to take care of that. But, it was worth it for him to be happy. We did have a couple of scares where my roommate accidentally left him out at night before I would get home from work. And, well, that made for a couple of interesting evenings coming home when it's raining and dark, and then all of a sudden there's a cat on my windshield. He had an interesting way of showing affection. He was not your typical male cat that always wants to be loved on. He was very aloof, but when he did want to share time with me, he would do it in the most delicate ways. Whether it was curling up by my feet when I was sleeping. I had accidentally kicked him off the bed a couple of times. I felt really bad. When I was working, because my desk was right next to my bed, he would curl up on the bed next to me. And if my hand was resting on the bed, he would put his paws on my hand. And he was just all around a great boy. And I got to travel with him some. Not some of the big adventures like you see with some other content creators, but he did the move to Virginia with me and had many opinions on the way down. So thankfully my best friend was able to take him in my car so that he didn't have to deal with all the noise in the car or in the moving truck, because the moving truck was so loud. So I drove the moving truck and my friend drove the car, and he was much more comfortable. He's survived snowstorms, he survived a hurricane, all that jazz. And he was just my best buddy. And when I was sad because of, losing a family member during the pandemic, or when I was happy, when I was feeling goofy, he was there. He would never be very happy when he saw my suitcase out when I was going to conventions. He would very loudly object. And when I would go, I would get pictures from my roommate and my bestie being like, hey, your cat's being weird again. And it would be him in the sink, or him in between my bed and the wall, things like that. I cannot state enough how much I loved this boy. And when he started to get sick, I didn't notice at first, or I was in denial because I thought it was the old lady cat. But it was not. It was him. He started to get kidney failure. So I did a whole bunch of different things within my means, changing his diet, making sure he's hydrated, all that jazz. Some medication as he would take it. But he kept losing weight. He kept getting sick. And so in 2022, it got to the point where he was losing weight so fast that you know, even though we had brought in a new kitten and he was getting some of his energy back, he was just dropping weight too fast. And it was time to let him go. But I will always remember this sweet boy, this sweet, sweet, handsome man as my hunter. I think he got bored because when we lived in New Hampshire, he had so many things he could hunt. And down here in Virginia, because I wouldn't let him outside like I would in New Hampshire, he didn't have as many things to hunt. And that was a relief to me. He taught my little black cat Lilith how to be a cat. But she's the quietest cat. She didn't pick up his loudness. She in turn, after he passed, when we brought in a new cat, Sparrow, she in turn taught Sparrow how to be a cat. But Sparrow was always very loud. So some days, even though Totoro passed after she was born, some days I think she's his incarnate or something. So yeah, I really wanted to appreciate Totoro now that I was able to paint him in a way that I would be happy with. I was able to get some of his markings down, which is difficult with tabbies and gouache. So gouache, if you did not know, is an opaque watercolor. So you see me rehydrating the pigment to put it on the brush and then to enhance the colors as I'm doing here. If you are liking the video this far, I really appreciate your comments, likes, subscribe if you feel like it. I am not a consistent poster, so, you know, whenever you get a post from me, it'll be a big surprise. But I am going to do my best for October to be consistent. Now about the GoFundMe. I am having a long-awaited surgery November 7th, and I am self-employed. So I really need some help covering bills while I am out of commission, while I'm not able to work. So if you feel that you are able to donate like $5 or whatever, if you're able to share the link, I would greatly appreciate it. I don't like asking for help, which is why I'm determined that if I'm gonna ask for help through a GoFundMe, I'm gonna give you content. So at this point, we're just figuring out what whites work, or what works to have white, but not let it be super negative space. And in looking at the painting or the picture of Totoro, the sun actually made his fur kind of a warm, light yellow. So that's what I'm using here. And at this point, I'm just going to let the time lapse go with some music, and I'll be back at the end. And it was at this point that I realized that I needed my pens, and I did not know where they were. So I'm going to try to paint with my smallest brush, and well, that doesn't necessarily work. And if you hear some of the noise, it's because my cats are being nuisances, as they like to do while I'm recording anything. So I'm able to take away some of the mistakes with just a little bit of water and a drier, rougher brush. Gouache can be a little finicky this way, but at the same time it does create beautiful effects when I can get it to work right. And here I'm trying to get some of Totoro's lines in, and one of the coolest things about him, he had the best eyeliner. He had like 2 stripes coming out from the corners of each eye. When they mentioned cat eye, he had the perfect cat eye. I was always a little bit jealous, but it's no big deal because he rocked it. It made him look very distinguished, like a pirate or something. My mom kept trying to get me costumes for him, and I tried once to put a bow tie on him. No, never again. He said no. So now with my 2 cats that I currently have, Lilith and Sparrow, I'm basically like, Mom, they are not like my old dog. They do not like costumes. Aha! I have gone to go find my pens. But that gives the painting time to dry. Thankfully, with gouache, as long as you're not using too much water, it dries fairly quickly so that you can then layer more pigment on top of it. So the type of pen that I use, the black pen that I'm going to be using is a Pigma Micron. And this is the 0.05 pen. So this is my smallest tip. And I've been using this for drawing my cats since I started last month because they have such nice definition. But the nice thing when you're drawing cats is that you don't have to have super connected lines because they've got fur. And so it's kind of nice to just have it kind of broken. And one thing I did want to make sure with Totoro, he had a very defined nose and muzzle. It was very narrow, so I wanted to make sure I got him those cheekbones. And I just defined some of his lines a little bit around the face. It felt really important to me. And you'll notice when you look at this versus the thumbnail that the posture is different. I suck at proportions. And so a standing cat is hard for me right now. But a crouching cat is much easier, in my opinion. So in a minute, I'm going to be going over the other key features with some watercolor based pens, and they don't have a brand name on them. It's literally just called Double Head Colored Pen. That's it. Huh, that's so weird. But I use those in these drawings because they really make certain elements pop. So when I wanted to kind of define the leaves and this flower that I'm painting, because I forgot that the butterfly needs a flower to sit on because that's how it's getting its food. That's what I'm using. I think I just got them from Amazon. Yep, here we go. Gotta get that wood grain in. I do like drawing wood grain. It's fun for me. And then using that brown to go and enhance some of his markings. And you know what? His tail was super dark, so I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm putting all the marking in the tail. This picture's for me. It's not going for sale, so. I will probably make an Etsy page or something soon to sell the paintings that I do have. So if that's something that you're interested in, let me know in the comments. So yeah, just that little bit of pink gives the flower some definition. Going into the, I believe, the leaves next. Yeah. And I do this every time. So there's a like a brush tip and then there's a fine tip. And I always end up trying to use the brush tip first. Now, if you also do videos where you're doing art, if you can give me any pointers as to how to better film my process, I would be grateful for any constructive feedback. Always welcome constructive feedback. Even if I don't always use it, it's good to hear. And then just going in and highlighting these stems a little bit. I don't know what kind of plant this was, but I'm literally taking from the inspiration for these plants from the photograph. And at this point, I think I'm pretty happy with it. So it's time for, I think it's time for my favorite part. Is it? I don't even remember what I'm getting right here. Ah, I am writing down what I'm calling this. This piece is going to be called My Boy Totoro. I put that down before I realized that I was going to be doing a voiceover for this. So, peel time. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back tomorrow with some new art. I don't know what I'm going to be making, but we'll figure it out. Let's put that maker's mark on, and I'll catch you next time.